Hello, everyone, and welcome to Clack Front Back. This is an occupant protection presentation for Teen Driver Safety Week 2020. I am Chanita Vazquez. I work at the Louisiana Highway Safety Commission, and I'm so pleased to be presenting with you with Mr. Dylan Ivy.
Hey everyone, my name is Dylan Ivy. I'm the Louisiana SADD State Coordinator, and SADD stands for Students Against Destructive Decisions. We are very excited to be with you all today to bring you this presentation about a topic that's very important and actually affects a lot of people's lives across our country. So it's very important, and we're so thankful to be with you today. And this presentation is going to go ahead and we're going to get started. Okay, so our objectives. So of this session today, our objectives are to promote proper seatbelt use, talk a little bit about what that means and the importance of wearing your seatbelt, how to properly wear your seatbelt, how not to wear your seatbelt. We're also going to talk about your responsibility as a passenger and a driver, right? And we're going to learn what we call the 5-step seatbelt test. That's going to really explain how to properly wear your seatbelt to keep you safe and protected. And we're also going to talk a little bit about airbags and the importance of those and how they work with seat belts and how important they are to our safety.
Correct. So pop quiz time, right? We're going to test your knowledge throughout this presentation as well. The first question: in which state and in what year was the first child passenger safety law passed? Was it A, Louisiana, 1970, B, Texas, 1973, C, New York, 1975, or D, Tennessee, 1977?
Man, Chanita, that's a hard one. That's really tricky. I don't know. Maybe we should wait for everyone to answer.
Yeah, let's
I'm
give
trying
them
to think what.
I don't know, another 5 seconds to answer. Come on, you guys, what do you think? Is it Louisiana, Texas, New York, or Tennessee? Dylan, what would you say?
You know, I don't think it's Louisiana, but I'm going to go with D, Tennessee. What is it? What is it, Chanita?
The answer is D, Tennessee. Tennessee was the first state in 1977 to adapt the child passenger safety law. So for those of you who got D, give yourself a pat on the back. For those of you who didn't get D, that's all right. You can try again next time.
That's right. We'll have another click check later on throughout the presentation. The first question is, what is the first thing you should do when you get into a vehicle? Now, there's a lot of different answers to this question, but Chanita, what is the right answer?
The right answer is, snap. Buckle your seatbelt. So seatbelt saves lives. In 2017, an estimated of 14,955 lives were saved by a seatbelt. In 2018, 47% of people killed in a crash were not wearing their seatbelts. So you see how these numbers kind of change? Like, it's very important to put on your seatbelt. Every passenger in the front and the back is required by law to buckle their seatbelt buckle up in their own seatbelt.
Wow, Chanita, when you think about that, 47% of the people that were killed in crashes not wearing their seatbelt. That's almost 50%. That's half of the people that were killed in crashes in 2018 were not wearing their seatbelt. That is crazy.
That's crazy. By preventable. So these crashes, 47% of those crashes were preventable deaths by them just putting on their seatbelts. Something that takes less than 3 seconds?
Yes, absolutely. It takes less than 3 seconds. And that is just crazy to think that so many people are not wearing their seatbelt in these during these times. You think that's something that most people would do, right?
Right.
Okay, so our next click check. This is a question that may be tricky for some of you because the law recently changed. So what age are you legally allowed to sit in the front seat? Is it A, 16, B, 13, C, 8, or D, 12 and a half? What do you think, Chanita?
Well, I kind of know the answer, so I'll be cheating if I answer, but I think a lot of people want to get this correct. I just think that they know the law, they know when they're supposed to be sitting in the front seat and when they're supposed to be sitting in the back seat.
Well, let's give everybody
What?
just one or two more seconds, I guess, to
Yeah. Go
answer
ahead,
this
y'all, and let us
question.
know which one.
Okay, well, the correct answer is B, 13, right? At the age of 13, you are legally allowed to be promoted to the front seat.
I like that, promoted. Like that's like an honor, right? One of those things, those
Yes,
growing pains that you have to get through.
absolutely, absolutely.
So let's talk about the backseat a little bit. So there is a 5-step test in order for you to get out of a booster seat and in order to fit comfortably in the back seat. The first of those tests is 1, keep your back firmly against the back seat. So you don't want to be sitting on the front part of the seat. You don't want to be sitting in the middle. You want to be sitting in the back. And I'm sorry, let me say this. All 5 of these steps are to ensure that the seatbelt is properly fit across you. So 2, make sure your knees bend at the edge of the seat. So you don't want your legs to be poking all the way out. You just want them to relax firmly. That way that you'll have your butt to the back of the seat and everything could be you could be up straight. Sorry. 3, the lap belt is low on the top of, I'm sorry, I can't see it. Low on the top of
Your thighs.
your thighs. I'm sorry, I can't see right there. Low on the top of your thighs. So the lap seat is the part when you click your seatbelt, it's the part that goes it goes underneath your stomach and over your thighs. So that's going to keep you secured down. The next part is the shoulder belt. The shoulder belt should be between your shoulder and your neck. So that's this part up here. It should fit somewhere flush and firm up here. So the seat belt should go over in between your shoulder and your neck, across your chest, and then over your lap. And that way, if something was to happen and you were to be involved in a crash, you would stay firm and secure in the seat, and you wouldn't be either ejected forward or possibly backwards. And you should stay that way the entire trip. So I know sometimes things can be uncomfortable. You know, you may get tired of it. You don't want to get your clothes wrinkled, but it's just very important because you never know, something can happen at an instant. So you really want to make sure that you have that seatbelt passing our 5-step test the entire duration of the trip.
Absolutely, Chanita. And you bring up a really good point when you were talking about booster seats, because, usually when we do a lot of safety education in the schools, we find that a lot of your students that are in middle school, they're actually really not tall enough to sit in. Some of them are not tall enough to sit in the back seat. Not many, but there's a few that actually still should be in a booster seat. It actually happens that we find those kind of students that maybe are really not tall enough to sit in the back seat properly. And so, even though the majority of our audience here today is, teen drivers, people that are in high school, maybe they have some younger brother or sisters that maybe should be in booster seats that they're riding with. And maybe they're not sitting in their seatbelt properly, or maybe that seatbelt's not fitting them properly, right? So this is some really great information that I'm really glad that you're sharing with all of us today, because it's super important.
Thank you.
Oh, this is one of our favorite parts, isn't it, Chanita?
Yes.
So the biggest question about seatbelts is, why risk it, right? I mean, seatbelts are designed to protect us. So why risk not wearing them? All you have to do is just click it, right? So we're going to watch a little video here, and hopefully there won't be too much of a delay, but we're going to watch a little video of a taxi cab driver, and he risked it. And we'll see what happened to him.
Okay. Look like he's driving alone.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Wow. I mean, so
Wow.
what did you notice about that, Chanita? What did you notice about
Well, it
him and
looked
his?
okay, of course, the first thing I noticed was he was not properly restrained. He didn't have his seatbelt on.
He didn't have his seatbelt on, and and really, what caused the crash is that it looked like he was falling asleep, and so it looked like he was starting to get a little drowsy behind the wheel. And he, in some way, something happens. Of course, we couldn't see the road, but something happened. He hit something. And what's really interesting is that, a lot of people think that when they get into a crash, they automatically think that the risk is the front windshield, right? And that they're going to go through the windshield. But
Right.
that's not always the case. I mean, you could go anywhere. And in this particular situation, where did he go?
He went to the back. He went in the back windshield.
Exactly, exactly. And so I would imagine that his injuries were pretty bad in the sense that he probably was severely injured or had some, of course, we didn't see any blood or anything like that, but I would imagine it was pretty uncomfortable for him. And had he just clicked his seatbelt, that would not have happened, right?
Right. Why risk it? Just
It,
click it, right? I think that's so fitting for this video.
that's right. That's right.
Wow. Okay. Seatbelt safety. Why wear it? So, Dylan, why do you think we should wear seatbelts?
Well, I mean, the biggest thing is that it really does reduce your risk of being ejected from your seat. When you look at that video, had he worn his seatbelt, right, he wouldn't have been ejected from his seat. He would have stayed
Right.
in place. There could have been some minor little, pulls or what have you, or maybe some different things that could have possibly happened, maybe windows that could have broken or things of that nature. But I mean, for the most part, I mean, he would have stayed in his seat. That's the biggest thing. And I mean, I like that meme to the right. Do you see that meme,
Right.
Shanita? I mean, a seatbelt is there to protect us, right? Their job is to
Right.
save us. They are life-saving devices, and so the whole purpose is to keep a person in place. And also another reason to wear your seatbelt is because it's the law, right? I mean,
It's
that's the right thing to do is to wear your seatbelt. And I don't want to be a statistic. I don't want to be a part of that
right.
47% of the people that when they get in a crash, they don't make it, right? And so, I mean, absolutely, that's the biggest thing.
And
That's the biggest reason.
and I think not to get all sciencey on you, but I think number three's point helps absorb some of the energy forces from the crashes by allowing the passenger to ride down the crash. I think that's another thing that people really don't, think about. Like, look at if he was in his seatbelt, he would have been in place, and the force of the crash, he would have went a little bit forward, but he wouldn't end up in the back, and all that energy and stuff, all the science that goes behind it, he wouldn't have felt that nearly as much as if he was in his seat properly restrained.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so this is a really important question, and believe it or not, all the time we see this. People do not know the proper way to wear a seatbelt. But the proper way to wear a seatbelt is over the shoulder and across the waist, right? And it's not over your stomach, right? Because we know that actually if you were to get into a crash, that seatbelt could actually go through your stomach and sever your body in half, right? So it's supposed to go over your bone structure, across your waist. And if it is, a lot of the times with little kids that are supposed to be in booster seats, when they do put their seatbelt on, if it does go across their stomach, that's usually the first indicator to let you know that they need to be in a booster seat because they're not
Right.
tall enough for that bottom belt to go down to hit them where it's supposed to, which is across their waist. So the proper way to wear it, and for some reason, Shanita, we always see teens putting that shoulder belt behind them
Behind them.
or under their arm, and that is definitely not safe. That
That
is
is.
definitely not a good idea.
So I wonder, like our audience, I wonder some excuses that they would come up with why they put that over behind them versus wearing it. I think I've heard, I don't want to get my clothes wrinkled, it doesn't look cool. it may be uncomfortable. You know, I've heard a lot of different reasons of why they just put that behind them. And it's just not
Absolutely.
safe.
Absolutely. But you know what? One thing I've always said, and I've heard all those things too, but one thing I've always said is, I'd rather it be a little uncomfortable, right? Or I'd rather it wrinkle my shirt a little bit so that
Right.
I have another day to wear another shirt, right?
Oh man, that's
Because,
good.
I would not want to be in a situation where I was ejected from my seat, because we know that if you're ejected from your seat, your risk of getting, in a fatal, some type of fatal injury or even lead to death, right? I mean, we know that the risk is very high. The chances are very high. So
Correct.
definitely important to talk about the proper way to wear your seatbelt.
Seatbelt safety again. Ways not to wear it. Behind your back, under the arm, just exactly what we were just talking about. So this picture of this young lady right here, she has it behind her, and that's just not the proper way to wear your seatbelt. You always want it to go over your chest and over your chest, in between your shoulder and your neck, and then over your waist.
That's right, Chanita. Behind the back, safety will lack. Under the arm will cause harm.
I like that. I like that, Dylan.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about how to properly adjust your seat. No, hang on. Now I'm all messed up. This computer has messed me up. Okay,
Okay.
all right. So now we're going to talk about what you can do to make sure that your seatbelt fits you properly. And there are some things that you can do in your car as far as adjusting some features in your car to make sure that your seatbelt fits you the way that it's supposed to, which is over the shoulder and across the waist, right? So one of the things that you can do is you can lean your seat backwards or forwards, up and down, in order to make sure that it fits you the right way. You can raise your seat by bringing it closer to an upright but a very comfortable position, because many people complain, Chanita, about their seatbelt being uncomfortable. So by you raising your seat, that'll help you to make sure that your seatbelt fits comfortably. But one thing that many people don't probably do or even know about is that there is a place on the side of your car, on the side pillar of your car, called the seatbelt slider, where you can actually move it up and down, right? And so you can actually adjust that, which will help you with making sure that it fits you the right way. So be sure to look for that the next time you get in the car to make sure that your seatbelt is fitting you properly.
Right. People just don't know. Doing these little bitty adjustments can make sure that that seatbelt is fitting in between your shoulder and your neck, over your chest, and over your waist. Like those little bitty adjustments, raising the seat up, going back and forth. Not up now, not all the way back. We don't want you leaning back where we can't see the top of your head, but
Right.
just leaning back a little bit or bringing it forward, and even adjusting up and down. Those are great tips, Dylan. Thank you so much for sharing those.
Yep.
Quiz time. What supplemental restraint system was designed to work with seat belts? A, child restraint system. B, navigation system. C, airbags. D, bungee cords. What do you think, Dylan?
Well, I hope it's not bungee cords, because I definitely would not want a bungee cord working with my seat belt. But I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with C, airbags.
Correct. C, airbags is a supplemental restraint system. So the important word there is supplement, means secondary. It's not meant to take the place of a seatbelt. It's meant to help aid in writing down that crash times, that crash force. So the answer is C, airbags.
Very good. Which leads us to our next slide. So airbags, for some reason, a lot of people think that they don't have to, or I guess maybe even a myth would be that you don't have to wear your seatbelt if your car has airbags, right? And that is so not the case. That is
I heard that before.
definitely far from the truth, because we know that airbags are a safety feature that is also designed to prevent injuries among drivers and passengers in the event of a crash. But it's basically put in place to provide an extra layer of caution. It's an extra layer of protection, and it's designed to work with seatbelts. That's a key word there, that with seatbelts. It's not designed to work without them, but it's designed to work with them. And the biggest thing that it does is it protects our head and our upper body, right? That's what it's there to do. And so if you have that airbag in your steering wheel, depending on where it is, it's designed to protect that part of your body. It also is going to reduce some of the force that is created by the seatbelt, right? So when you get into that crash, it's going to reduce some of that ability. That crash is going to create that jerk, that very tight jerk that's going to happen. And so that it's going to reduce some of that by the force that's put on the driver that seatbelt will cause, because seatbelts are designed to keep us safe, and so are airbags, right?
Correct. So I think, like you said, the key takeaway is airbags are designed to work with seatbelts. So you wear one, you wear the other. Wear one, wear the other. Wear your seatbelt properly, and make sure that your airbags are also working as well.
Absolutely. One of the things we've talked about with students when we do some of these different outreach events is, different recalls that happen on cars. And sometimes if there are recalls on different things, you should always get it checked out. But especially if there's a safety recall, you're definitely going to check for those so that that something needs to be fixed. If you were to get in a crash, it may malfunction, and that's not what we want to happen. So you definitely want to make sure that you don't have any recalls on anything that could go wrong with your car, but especially things like this, some safety features that are designed to protect us and keep us safe.
Correct. Another quiz. Where is the safest seat for a child? Is it A, front seat, B, middle back seat, C, driver's seat, or D, passenger left side? So where do you guys think? I'm going to put this question to you guys out there while you're answering it. Where do you think the safest place for a child's seat is, and why do you think it's the safest place? Maybe we should have added that in there too. Dylan, what you think? What do you think that most people would say? Do you think they would get it correct?
I think people would get it right. I do. I think that people probably know the answer that are in the room. But then I don't know, maybe depending on if they're thinking about car seats, maybe they may think a specific side of the car, I don't know. But I think what's the answer, Chanita?
Well, the answer is B, middle back seat. That is the answer. And that's just, it's the middle back seat because, again, not to get all sciencey, but science has proven that middle back seat is the safest place. Most crashes happen, it's rear end, or when you crash from the side, when someone is hit from the side, that middle seat is kind of, because it has everything else around it reinforced, that middle seat is just the safest place for a child or anybody to be in, but especially a child. It has more protection in that area.
Absolutely. That middle back seat is super, super important. Well, Chanita, I feel like this was so much fun to do this with you today. Thank you so much. I thought this was great.
So, wow. First of all, we just want to thank everyone so much for taking this time out to listen to our presentation. We hope that we provided you a little bitty tidbits to take back, and really made you think about occupant protection, which is properly restraining yourself in the seat, and also making sure all the other passengers in the seat, all the other passengers in your vehicle are properly restrained. I know myself, on behalf of the Louisiana Highway Safety Commission, I am always available if you have any questions or concerns about occupant protection or anything highway safety related. My email address and phone numbers on there. Dylan, the state coordinator from SADD, you see his information on there. He is always up, ready, available, like when a split second, ready for you guys questions and answers. We also want to thank the Capital Region Transportation Safety Coalition and Destination Zero Deaths. Our goal is to do outreach and provide this highway safety information to you, and without them, we would not have been able to come to you guys today. So one other thing that we will ask you to do, during Teen Driver Safety Week or anytime that you want to, we ask that you, before you start driving, take a picture of yourself, properly buckled up in your seatbelt, and then do hashtag Think Smart, the letter B, the letter U, and then the word start. So hashtag Think Smart before you start. And so we can see those pictures, and you can let everyone know that, you are properly restraining your vehicle, and that, you're proud of it. Dylan, what do you think about that? Have you taken your picture yet?
Chanita, I haven't taken mine yet, but I'm going to do that today. I got to agree with you. This was a wonderful presentation. I enjoyed presenting this with you today, and I really wish that we could be with everyone in person, but of course, with everything going on right now, that wasn't possible. But we're thankful that you were able to watch this today. And the biggest thing that we have to really say is, it doesn't take long for you to make that quick decision to buckle your seatbelt. It's the right decision. It's the thing that's going to keep you the most safe, the most protected. And the biggest thing is to always think smart before you start. So we thank you so much for joining us today, and we hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye, everyone.
Bye.